Um. Well, you know how we talked about. We talked about Crystal Ball. Oh, Crystal Ball
This fucking dumb broad.
from the hill. Crystal Ball. Well,
Commie Krystal.
Commie Krystal. We have a little update about she's doubling down.
All right, Krystal, what's on your radar?
Well, while white-collar workers nestle at home with their laptops and their Uber Eats, the working class...
While white-collar workers...
You're white collar.
Nestle up.
By the way, I'm hearing a lot of stuff about she made some super PACs and she basically like just lined her pockets. And this girl's shady as fuck, man.
I've heard the same.
has been shoved onto the front lines of this crisis. For most of the working class, the coronavirus crisis...
I love the working class, the fucking Workers' Party
You
unite.
poor pleb, disgusting fucking nobodies.
This has been a case of terrible or worse. Millions are, of course, losing their jobs outright, forced on unemployment rolls, facing down rent, which is just days away, wondering what the future will
I'm sorry, what was her husband's net worth again?
ultimately hold for them. But millions more work in industries that are suddenly essential and absolutely slammed. Healthcare workers, grocery clerks, sanitation workers, warehouse workers.
Those have always been essential. That's why those jobs have been around.
I told you to tell them that you was in a sanitarium.
And more are being crushed with work. And as their employers reap massive profits, they're left with low wages, a grueling pace, and often unsafe and unsanitary conditions, leaving their families and their communities vulnerable. It's no accident that the neighborhoods in New York hardest hit by coronavirus also
Are populated by
Don't.
New Yorkers.
Yes.
What do you think I was going to say? Nitwits.
Yeah, there you go. Nincompoops.
happen to be lower income neighborhoods. A borough
She
map
said
of
it. She said it.
coronavirus cases shows wealthy Manhattan to be faring much better than the working class neighborhoods of
Oh, my
Queens,
God.
Brooklyn, and the Bronx.
Yes, before this turns into a Beastie Boys song. It's always fared better.
Krystal, I don't know if you know this, but poor people generally just make worse decisions. In general.
sense,
That's why
and
they're
those-
poor.
Workers who aren't laid off are forced into the workplace, often with little or no protective gear to keep them and their families safe and healthy. Increasingly, though, those workers are not taking it quietly. Wildcat strikes and other workplace actions have spread across the nation, across industries and occupations. In New York on Monday, Amazon workers at a Staten Island warehouse walked out. Here's one Amazon worker explaining why she's striking.
My name is...
She's on strike from what, though?
All of you could quit, and right now there's people that have just lost their job that will take your job.
Yeah, there was Amazon workers and stuff that started striking, and I'm like,
This is
bro,
it.
people are getting laid off. Yeah, like people are getting laid off. They're just going to show up and go like, I'd like your job, please.
This is Staten Island Amazon factory.
Oh, yeah.
7 and I walked out because Amazon lied. They told me there was one case in the building.
And
then
because,
they
like,
told me
work
no,
is just whack anyway, you know what I'm saying? I want to go hang out with my friends.
so I don't feel safe.
Instacart workers nationwide walked down over similar concerns for their health and safety, no paid sick leave, and a lack.
Do you know how many people right now have lost their jobs that would love to have these jobs? I think it's more people than they imagine. I really don't think they understand.
Of hazard pay to compensate them for the increased risk that they are taking. Today, Whole Foods workers.
And by the way, I am not against right now, and I mean this seriously, giving grocery workers and people that work a hazard pay. They should get paid a little bit more.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with that. I just want to
Give them
say
some extra bucks.
I agree with that 100%.
They should get overtime, like what you get when you work like
Time and a
time and a half. Yeah, like you should get something.
I absolutely believe that these people that work at those places, of course, it sucks,
Or the
man.
option to stay home without a penalty if you choose to. You know what I mean? It's extenuating circumstances, but just to fucking go on strike right now is not smart.
Workers are planning a sick out, demanding increased hazard pay, coronavirus testing, and paid sick leave. Nurses in Watsonville, California walked out. Sanitation workers in Pittsburgh, iron workers at a...
Sanitation workers in Pittsburgh walked out, and there was no change detected. It's still fucking Pittsburgh.
Shipyard, bus drivers in Birmingham, bus drivers in Detroit, warehouse workers in Memphis, a Fiat Chrysler truck plant in Michigan, McDonald's workers in California and Illinois, poultry workers in Georgia. As one of those Purdue chicken workers put it bluntly, we're not getting nothing. No type of
We're not getting nothing.
compensation, no nothing,
something.
not even.
Could somebody tell the Purdue chicken worker that that's a double negative? And oh, wait, that's probably why he's a Purdue chicken.
And also say it in Spanish so he understands.
Cleanliness, no extra pay, no nothing. We're up here risking our life for chicken. Think about this.
No, you're not risking your life for chicken. You're doing your job so people can eat.
These people are fucking... And these are going to be the same people that talk about how evil their job was for firing them.
And again, I am not against, look, I am not against them getting hazard pay. I do believe that in the situations they probably should. I am not some fucking heartless capitalist. I'm not that guy. They should. But your job wasn't a big deal. And now for the first time ever, your job at McDonald's, like yesterday, McDonald's people that strike, for the first time in your life, your job at McDonald's means something. Your job has never really meant anything. And now, for these few months, your jobs actually mean something.
And they're going to fuck it up.
And you're going to fuck it up.
These actions are happening at a time when individual workers are frankly more disposable in their employers' eyes than ever before. With millions filing for unemployment by the week, how hard would it be?
A lot of these people that you're talking about would rather be on unemployment because in a lot of states we saw they're making more money.
This is just...
Yeah.
Be to get one of those newly laid off workers to come take the spot of your troublesome, rabble-rousing workforce with their unthinkable demands for paid sick leave and soap in the restroom. In fact, Amazon has already fired one of the organizers at their Staten Island warehouse, and in a frightening omen of how the current public health
That's
guidelines...
exactly what happened with me and Hulk Hogan. I tried to get the boys to unionize.
It's true.
can be weaponized to stifle dissent. Their stated justification was that the worker
I said, hey guys, we need to start a union. What's Vince going to do about it? Oh no, he's right behind me, isn't he? Vince sitting there in his red bow tie.
Social distancing guidelines. These workers are showing real bravery and real solidarity
by not going to work. That's so brave of you.
with their brothers and sisters. At GE, workers actually protested the company's failure to retool to manufacture the ventilators that the country is in such desperate need of. Contrast that to banker Joel Friedman's unconscionable demand that Philly pay him $1 million a month to use the empty...
That's...
Joel who?
Let me explain something to you, Krystal Ball. I'm not going to let you be anti-Semitic, not on this show. I want to allow you to be anti-Semitic here.
Also, I just can't take a woman seriously named Krystal Ball, right? Like, that's just a stupid name.
Hospital he purchased recently, and you can see pretty clearly which side of the class war you morally want to be on. These actions...
What side of the class war are you on? You're a multi-millionaire. What part of the fucking class war is Krystal Ball on? Can somebody tell me?
Are individually powerful and have already won important concessions from intransigent bosses. But as is always the case in America, the threat of starvation is real and it's powerful.
Did she just say, as is always the case in America?
Yeah, Royce.
Starvation is a fear? Show me the starving people in America. There's starving people in Africa. But show me, I have seen a lot of really, 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 really poor people that are that are not wasting away. The only people you see like that are the junkies that are living on the street. Besides that, even the poorest people in this country are eating.
Nothing focuses the mind and keeps workers in check like the fear of financial oblivion. Losing your home, getting kicked out of your apartment, being unable to provide for your family, and just the shame and stigma that comes from being poor in the home of the free.
The government shut down the economy, Krystal. This wasn't some by chance economic collapse here.
Yeah, I know. They keep making it sound like, and you know, and I've already said this before. Look, there was definitely a correction coming anyway, but it wasn't
not
gonna,
like this.
But that's That's what I was trying to say. It wasn't going to be on this fucking massive level. We would have had a little correction, and everybody would have been fine.
Unionized workers have more protections than their non-union brothers and sisters, and at least have someone
Brothers
to
and
fight.
sisters. Look, if I work at an Amazon warehouse with a bunch of other fucking dickheads, they're not my brothers and sisters.
These are all Commie talking points. The verbiage she's using is your typical Marxist talking points. This is something re-education would be saying.
Fight for them. But plenty of them are being laid off with no hesitation right now as well. Ultimately, the only way for workers to have real power in their workplaces is for them to know for certain that they can take their labor elsewhere. The fundamental economic...
Well, no.
Wait,
Where are they going to take it? You are unskilled, $8 an hour Amazon workers. Where are you going to take your labor? You know what I mean? Like, I would understand if you're a plumber or an electrician or a woodworker or an engineer or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Skilled workers. They can go, hey, fuck you. I'll take my skills elsewhere. Your job is to put my thumb drive and my bags of Doritos in a box and zip it down a conveyor belt so it gets shipped out. That's not a skill. That's not, your labor is worth, like when you're just ringing up customers at a convenience store, you don't have leverage, lady. These people don't have leverage. Again, it's not like when the plumbers union in a whole city goes, all right, well, none of us are coming to work. Or, you know what I mean? Like, you know, when the local truckers, like when truckers unions, like the Teamsters just go, oh, okay, yeah, none of us are going to be driving anything anywhere. And you go, holy shit, we need to negotiate with these people. There's no reason to unionize unskilled labor. You don't do anything.
But
You can be replaced literally by a fucking machine.
But what she's saying, even bigger than that, what she's saying is she wants guaranteed jobs. Is that what she's asking for, to have guaranteed work?
No matter how poor your work ethic is, no matter how unskilled you are, you know what I mean? Like this is
certain that they can take their labor elsewhere. The fundamental economic right to tell a bad boss to F off. This is true always, but it's especially true at a time when unemployment is set to jump perhaps as high as 30%.
Because the government shut down the economy.
So while a lot of policy conversation is rightly focused on how this crisis exposes the essential need for and foolishness of opposing Medicare for all, it should also focus our mind on another less heralded part of the Bernie Sanders platform, a federal jobs guarantee. Now, as I discussed previously, there's an immediate need right now for workers to be deployed and surged into certain critical areas like healthcare and sanitation.
Like they're U.S. Marines.
Federal job guarantees, what does that mean? That if you can't find a job, we're going to bloat the government even bigger with more government employees? Is that what you're referring to, Krystal?
And manufacturing essential items. These workers should be protected and they should be well paid for any attendant risks that they take. But there's also just a massive need to put a floor under the economic fallout that we're witnessing. Just as we had a works progress...
There is a floor. It's called a functioning economy. There is a floor.
This woman is enraging.
There already was one.
And again, super rich woman. Just babbling, just making up talking points so she can feel good. I'm in solidarity with you, working class. Ew, don't touch me though. I'm in solidarity with you, but stay over there.
Administration.
Yeah, I'm sure the woman with the Jimmy Choo shoes and the Louis Vuitton bag and a fucking Audi that she drives to work every day really gives a shit about. Let me tell you something. Krystal Ball, the Amazon workers that fucking love this woman, this Krystal Ball woman wouldn't shake your hand.
Yeah. When was the last time?
She wouldn't make eye contact with you.
Yeah. When was the last time this woman fucking sucked a construction worker's dick? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, and by the way, somebody says, in the tropics, who is a fan of the show, says, wah, I want the economy to reopen. My name's Revenge of the Sis. Wah. Yes, I would like. That's first off very funny. But I also do wish that, listen, some of the economy would open. Yeah, absolutely. I would like that.
And I stand by my original point. If you're one of those people that's like, oh, where my economy? You're probably a NEET and you had no skin in the game to begin with. Like, it's very easy to watch this with a reserved attachment if you don't have anything. You know what I mean? It's like watching a football game that you didn't bet any money on and you're not a fan of either team. It's very easy to just go, yeah, who cares? It's the Eagles versus Cleveland. Who cares? But that's because you don't have any investment in this. You don't care because you don't. Like, the only people I've seen before that have said, oh, yeah, oh, my economy, are people that contribute nothing, have nothing invested, they own nothing, they don't do anything. So it's very easy to be like, who gives a shit? A lot of people give a shit, dude. People are going to not be able to feed their families. People are going to lose their fucking homes over this. So, yeah, kind of want the economy back.
And look, again, and I've said this again, I am not against, because, again, we also believe the virus is real. We're not conspiracy theorists about that. The virus is absolutely real. We talked about it the first hour. But I also believe that there's ways to help stop this virus without shutting down the economy. I think that maybe if we were told the truth about masks and we had a better supply about the N95 mask, people could be walking around with those masks to reduce their chances of getting it. Look, I'm not saying Disney World needs to be open. I'm not fucking saying that people should be going to movie theaters or going to fucking parades. I'm not talking about that. But there are certain but we're going the opposite direction. We're shutting down more businesses. We're shutting down a lot of things. I had to get my dryer repaired, right? Because my dryer broke. And the guy's saying, well, I'm not considered essential. So the guy couldn't drive around with his truck because he would get pulled over. He had to drive around in his car with the parts in his trunk. And he's like, I mean, people need to dry their clothes. And so there's certain jobs that should still be allowed. You know, I, of course, am not saying that we shouldn't limit group gatherings, or I don't think everybody needs to go to a Fish concert. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that do you think that maybe, just maybe, we're going a little crazy on all of the things that we're shutting down? You're telling me that there's not a difference between going to see Dave Matthews play with 10,000 people or going to the beach with your family? There's a huge difference, right? Especially if you're in Florida. You should be able to go to the beach and just stay 6 feet away from people. I'm with you. Hey, you know what? We're not going to get all on top of other people. We're fine, but you should be able to. These are things you should be able to do. And I'm not talking about spring breakers partying, but I'm talking about stuff like that. You should be able to get in your car and visit your parents, even if there's not dire need to. Like, those are the things where you start going, so you're telling me that me going and visiting my parents who are not sick and I am not sick, getting in my car, getting out of the car and going into their house to say, hey, I haven't seen you while I miss you, you're telling me that's a problem? I'm sorry, but I don't buy it. I'm pretty rational, but I think we're both pretty rational when it comes to this. I think that if people were to say, hey, man, this virus is pretty bad, maybe you shouldn't do, maybe Disney should close. Maybe we shouldn't have malls open. People are like, I get that. Like, you know, that makes sense. Like, I got it. But you can't go to a mom and pop restaurant and sit at the bar and have a meal for a second because you guys, I want my economy to close up. Sure. How about, mom and pop companies are not going to be able to recover from this. No matter what you think is that stimulus, they're not coming back.
Yeah.
They're done. And what's going to happen is all of you fucking hippie fucking liberals that fucking hate these corporations, all of these companies are going to get gobbled up by Walmart. They're going to get gobbled up by Amazon. They're going to get gobbled up by Disney. And then you're going to have, again, you're going to give more power to these very corporations that this bitch hates. She fucking hates these corporations. And at the end of this, even if fucking Amazon said, we're going to pay every employee $100 an hour, they don't care because at the end of it, Amazon's going to buy all of these failing businesses and go and sell them for scraps and get a huge tax write-off because of it. Mm-hmm. So no matter what side you look at it on, the only people that are going to benefit from this are the people that could, a company that could last 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 a year without business and still be fine.
Yeah. Again, though, that's why I'm looking, and I've been keeping an eye out for all the people that, you know, like that have been saying shit like that. Oh, well, I want my economy back. Mm-hmm. And again, yeah, I'm sure you don't care that the game has been called off because you were never playing in the game. Like, I've seen a lot of anime girl profile pics telling me that like, oh, this isn't a big deal, whatever, you know, like, fuck your stupid job. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I guess, again, if you have no, and I'm not even saying it in a shitty way where it's like, fuck you, loser. I'm just saying, like, it is very easy to be dismissive of something you have no investment in. You're like, well, my life's going to be relatively unchanged because I don't care anyway. I don't go to work. I don't really I only make $8 an hour anyway. So if I lose my $8 an hour job and I got to go back and live with my parents, I lived with my parents as recently as 6 months ago. It's not really a big adjustment. But again, when you're a father of 3, you know what I mean? And you've got a mortgage and now it's like, is my job coming back? You know what I mean? Like, that's terrifying for people. How do you not sympathize with people in that position?
And by the way, Mike and I aren't in that position, but I understand what it's like to be in that position. I understand calling my sister the other day. I called my sister and she's like, yeah, I don't have a job anymore. They shut down the company. I don't have a job anymore. I don't know what to do. And
there's no recourse. And there's no nothing.
And then you feel bad because, you know, she worked for a mom and pop company and they're like, look, we're really sorry, but even with a grant, we can't keep this business open.
Yeah, I'm sure there's no malice behind it.
But it's just like, I don't know what we're going to do. The boss already wasn't paying themselves for a month, and they're like, I can't. And what do you tell those people? And yeah, sure, Amazon's hiring all these people, CVS is hiring all these people, Walgreens, Walmart. So at the end of this, we really are just going to turn into the idiocracy future where it's going to be welcome to Costco, I love you, where it's going to be one corporation where you go to law school and buy fucking snow tires in the same place and buy your meat. And that's the problem. I think that's why people are worried. I think people are very worried because no mom and pop businesses are considered essential. It's grocery stores and it's Uber Eats and it's stuff like that. It's companies that are going to be fine. And if you really care about these workers this much, you would give a shit that everybody on this planet with this over isn't working for fucking Walmart.
Not to mention a world war directly employing Americans. We need a modern jobs program to help sustain our workers in the short term and to shift power to American workers in the long term.
Absolutely awful.
But this is how these people always are. These fucking commies. They want to shift power to the workers, but not to these small businesses and entrepreneurs. You want to shift power to the workers, but those workers are still going to be working for these humongous corporations. Like, they're still working for the devil, and that's what, you know, they call him the devil. Like the devil. Like, I remember when I was younger, I remember all I heard from people like her, from the Bernie Sanders, is Walmart's an evil corporation, man. They're crushing the economy, dude. Walmart's evil. And now they're like, we need to give more workers to Walmart, and Walmart needs to pay them a little bit more. Who gives a shit? Mm-hmm. Nobody really cares about.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy idea.
The old Otto. Who gives a shit?
I don't know. Doesn't seem any crazier to me than propping big business up with $4 trillion. In fact, it seems infinitely more sane than that. Crazy to imagine it could happen? I don't know. General strike is trending on Twitter, and workers across the country are already speaking up and walking out in anger over the daily risks and indignities they're made to suffer.
But when there's a 30% unemployment rate, other people will fill those jobs. Like,
yeah, you're not, again.
This isn't work right now.
You have no skills, and there's going to be a lot of people looking for work. You don't have leverage. It's what I said earlier. You don't have any leverage. It's not like, you know, when unemployment was at an all-time low and the economy was doing good, you might have been able to go like, well, fuck you.
Yeah,
what are you going to do? Hire more people? There is nobody else. You're going to have to raise your wages anyway to get people in here to replace me. That's the only time strikes work, is if there's so many jobs out there that you can go, you're either going to have to pay me more or you're going to have to pay the next guy more, but you're going to pay somebody more. Nobody's in a position right. Nobody has leverage.
Exactly. And let me tell you something. These fucking little Marxist tanky commies over here that you see, that they're fucking telling you how the government's not going to save you from this.
The Chapo Trap House crowd, all rich kids, all trust fund kids.
If you think the government's going to save you from this, you're wrong. The government's not going to pull you out of this. When this government's pretending that they care about you, when all this is over, they're not going to give a shit that you don't have a job. They're not going to care. Once this virus is over, your unemployment's going to run out at some point. Your healthcare is going to be fucking lapsed. And the government is not going to protect you. You think they are. You think because you're getting 1,200 buckaroonies direct deposit into your account, you're going to be okay. You're not. They're not going to be the ones that are going to protect you. They don't give a fuck about you. California stopped the sales of all guns because they don't want you to fucking protect yourselves. You think it's going to get bad. Some people during the break were saying, get ready for 2-3 weeks from now when civil unrest starts. And I am legitimately worried about that. And I'm not talking about maybe here, but there's certain places where people that live in boxes are going to go, I can't anymore. I fucking can't. And people are going to tell the government to go fuck themselves. See, because here's the thing, Crystal Ball, if that is your real name.
If that is your real name.
You know how people are getting sick of these corporations fucking them over? And you know how these people are walking out of their jobs and going, fuck you, I don't care what you tell me? Do you think that's going to be limited to corporations? You don't think people are going to get sick of the fucking government in the same way, telling them what to do, telling them where they can eat?
Or sick of people like you.
Exactly.
When they start pulling you out of your cars and your limos.
People are going to get sick of you. People are going to get sick of the government. See, the problem is with this workers' mentality is that they're going to get sick of the government telling them what to do and where they could go and where they could eat and where they could sleep and what you're allowed to do and what friends you're allowed to see and what kind of handshake you could use. And people are going to go, fuck you, enough. Nothing is worth this. You're going to push people too far and you're going to have a fucking problem.
But at a fundamental level, that their lives would be treated as more trivial than the need for next day delivery or freezer cases fully stocked with chicken nuggets. Seems to me like the time to act is right now.
She's got a real fucking, real smarmy fucking attitude.
Freezer cases full with chicken nuggets is what poor people eat. The same workers you're talking about and mocking. And you're mocking them now.
She is such a smug bitch.
Yeah.
I hate this woman.
Solidarity with a list of demands that goes beyond individual workplaces, across party lines, and stands for nothing more or less than acknowledging and actualizing the individual worth and dignity of every single worker.
Okay, explain to me what that law is going to be, because that's a lot of fucking Bernie bro mumbo jumbo that acknowledges the individuals and dignity. But put that in terms of passing a law. Put that in a bill. How would you word that? Tell me the wording you would put. Because that's the thing with all these Bernie bros and all these commies is that they always have this like pie in the sky dream. And you go, okay, but how would you put that into law? They don't know how.
They
how
don't
to do
because
it.
it's a lot of communist gobbledygook.
Yep.
Sagar, when I started doing research for this, I'd been following the workplace actions across the
Yeah, I
country.
have Google too, Crystal.
But I was even stunned by the number that have been popping up in city and state after state across industries, workers who are individually coming together.
And again, when I talked about this fucking guy on the right, this Indian dude on the right, a lot of people go, oh, actually, he's pretty based. He's a conservative.
Is he?
He's literally sitting there and letting her spew communist propaganda and giving her no pushback.
Yeah, has this guy ever said a word on the show?
I think he says something now, maybe.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He just kind of goes, okay, that's great. You want to go out sometime?
Also, take your cell phone off the table. You're the fucking news.
And state after state
I'm the
across
news.
industries, workers who are individually coming together in solidarity and saying, you know what, our lives matter and you need to take them seriously.
It's mystifying to me that they don't, like, how is Amazon, which prints money off of its server business, not just giving these people what they need, at least personal protective?
Wow, based conservative. Look at this guy's so
Very
based.
conservative.
He's so based.
equipment or a $2 rate, whatever they're demanding.
Because then if they give them a $2 raise, then a week is going to go by and they go, it should be a $5 raise. Look, again, man, I want to reiterate something. I'm not.
This guy was a conservative.
I know.
He's literally going, wow, no, I know, it's amazing. I don't even know why they don't just give them money. It's like not even like, hey, Krystal,
print more.
Krystal, you're pretty. You want to go out sometime?
This guy was a conservative till he sat next to this 7.
Beta.
Thing, especially when you said they need them now more than ever. I'm always struck by how obtuse some of these like corporate masters seem in times like this, because they'll demand and let strife like this fester when it's like, guys, the entire economy is on the line. You need them a lot more than they need you at this point.
Right.
No.
No, they don't. That's the whole point.
Let me tell you, like Mike said, 3 months ago, that statement would have been 100% true because the unemployment rate was like at nothing. Right now, there is a surplus of workers. If you don't believe me, look at the food business and look how many illegal immigrants will work for a penny. Do you honestly think that right now there's a surplus of people looking for work right now? And just people that go, I'll even take it because I just want to leave the house.
Yeah.
I just want to leave the house. I'll go work at Amazon. I can leave the house for a bit. I could quit afterwards, find something else. But for right now, I'll go work there. And again, man, I'm not saying these people shouldn't get extra pay or get time and a half. I'm on board with that. But to pretend that we should fucking completely pass new bills and new laws and restructure our entire economy based on this is a little ridiculous.
I mean, and that's really what it fundamentally comes down to, which is that Amazon is going to be a joke if they're not going to be able to fulfill orders. That's like
I'm sure Amazon's really worried about becoming a joke. I'm sorry, is this a child?
He's like, all right, and this just in, we've been purchased by Amazon, and I've been fired.
You know what's a joke? The Hill.
the core of their business. Just pay these people what they need.
Right.
And I mean, and it's obvious that they
Let's just pay everyone what they need. Let's not pay people based on performance or merit or what they do for a living or their skills. Let's just give them. Let's just give everyone what they need, regardless of their effort that they put into life.
The money, and they're focusing all the strife, and they don't understand, which I think we do. The longer you let this stuff go on, and if you if you fire the guy.
But we get it, right, Krystal?
They get it.
Don't touch me. That's what it feels like, right?
My husband's watching.
But
Please
doesn't
don't.
that feel like but you and me, we get it, right? Don't touch me. Stop touching me.
Quash strikes, all of that. If you don't give in to some of this stuff, you are going to be setting the ground for the government to actually come in and redistribute some of their wealth when the time comes. I'm not saying it'll happen in this crisis. Could be 2 years, 3 years. That's what happened. I mean, I've been reading and thinking.
So the government's going to come and redistribute their wealth. Let me ask you a question. What government right now is going to because besides Bernie Sanders, who, by the way, as we can see, is not a viable candidate, we got to retell. The government is owned by these corporations and vice versa. The one thing that we found out about this Bernie Biden thing is the Democrats ain't going to do it.
No.
The fucking Democrats are completely owned by Amazon and Google and Walmart. All of them are fucking completely owned by them, okay? And the Republicans have always been owned by them, but they still are. The government's going to come and redistribute the wealth. How? Because unless you decide to get rid of lobbyists, and see, the problem is to get rid of lobbyists, all those same people that are owned by this lobbyist would have to vote to get rid of lobbyists. So it's not going to happen.
Thinking a lot about the history of the New Deal and all that. And people forget that 4-year period where nothing was really done in the Hoover administration. Stuff like this was happening, but 10 scale.
Yes.
I mean, people were like literally like killing
Like
lawyers
literally, bro? They were like literally poor, bro.
I mean, people were like literally like killing lawyers who were foreclosing on houses and things.
Well,
wait a second. Hold
like
on.
where you're going with
Hey.
Hey, let's not poo-poo this guy's all of his ideas.
Maybe he is a little based. People were doing what to lawyers now?
So you're saying, what you're saying, Cigar, is that we need to murder lawyers. You heard him, folks. I'm not saying that. I'm not condoning that.
I would never say that.
But he is saying that you should be out there killing lawyers.
Okay. Maybe some sort of solution.
Yeah, some sort of a solution that has a certain air of finality to it.
Okay. All right.
And people had to come in and set up some sort of social infrastructure because the bottom was about to fall out of the American society.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we're there yet.
No.
But this is how it begins.
You don't even have to take it back that far. You know, I followed and covered the teachers movement really closely, and the way that started was with individual counties taking their own actions. Which
The teachers movement and the one. Let me help you out here, Krystal. Since we're talking about the stuff that this little crisis has shown, it's shown that teachers aren't as fucking important as you make them out to be.
Nope.
And I know that's mean, and I understand there's teachers who listen to the show, and I'm sure some of you do a great job. But what we're learning here is that these kids could learn from home. These kids are all being taught online right now as we speak, right? And guess what? They don't need 30 of you for that. They need one person doing it for 5 million people. Doesn't matter. It's the same lesson. You're automating all the tests. So that's what we're learning too. You want to talk about essential jobs? You know what job wasn't considered essential during this? Teachers.
Which were technically illegal in
Do
the
you
state.
remember when there was a time when people taught their own kids?
Yep.
And I'm not saying everyone should homeschool their kids, because honestly, most of the people that want to homeschool their kids are fucking nut jobs. You generally speaking, but there was a time when you grew up on a farm and you learned from your mom and your dad how to read and write and how to do math and how to do basic things. The more we've given the idea, the concept of education to the government, the dumber kids are getting and the worse the society is getting. Mm-hmm. We just ship these kids off to buildings that look like jails, and it's terrible. It's terrible.
Of West Virginia, Wildcat strikes, and then once that model was it spread across West Virginia, it spread across the country, and so these things can catch on very quickly and very unexpectedly. I think there's also just what you see right now is this incredible glaring mismatch between the reality of how critical and essential these workers actually are. Like, they are literally the people who make the country run, while white collar workers could basically, like, their jobs could go away and no one would even notice.
And
right?
What do you do?
These people,
she's a white collar worker.
The country runs on their labor, so they're...
Wait, she thinks if white-collar workers go away, the country won't notice? Of course they would. Working at your computer at your home, making sure businesses run, doesn't make you any less important than...
No, it does.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, because you're not part of the brothers and sisters.
But who's, like, doing, like, the financial stuff in the background?
Our brothers and sisters at the Amazon warehouse, Royce. They're the ones that matter.
But what about the people that make sure the Amazon website's running and that orders are... Those are white-collar workers, and that orders are coming through and stuff like that?
Brothers and sisters.
Oh, okay.
I hope that helps.
God, is fucking... Oh, but that guy's actually pretty based. Is he? Is he really based? Look how based he is.
Everybody's like, oh, this guy's pretty big. Is he? And then you hear him and he's just like, yeah, Krystal, I like what you're saying.
Cracker Expat, sorry for my not funny inside joke comment. Just want to say I love white women and blacks. April Fool's bitches. COVID-19 says, oh boy. Hey there, bitches. You pussies thought I was going to miss the show today? April Fool's fags. I'm going to make you homos cough more than 4 times tonight. I hate you all, especially you, Mersh. I fucking hate you.
Jesus. That was...
COVID doesn't like you, dude. Eric Fitzpatrick, I'm watching 2 fat guys talk shit on the internet right now. Nobody in America's starving. Fair point. That is a fair point.
A fair point.
Base Hotep. My wife came in the room and interrupted the show, so I gave her an eye jammy. Love the show, boys. Happy to support the machine. Mexi Max and Cheese. What's the difference between a communist worker and a slave? The slave is self-aware.
Well, that's what my old boss used to say to me. It was like one of the best lessons he ever taught me. He was like, you know what? You know what the difference between America and China is? In America, they let you think you own some shit. And I was like, yeah, it's a good point. He goes, no, he's like, seriously, they'll take whatever the fuck they want from you if they need